You're listening to How I See It, hosted by Han. You guessed it, that's me. I am here to motivate and inspire you with guests from all different industries and backgrounds. So get ready for personal stories of success, of growth, full of highs and lows, and of course, unapologetic realness. This is How I See It. Okay, you guys, I am super excited. I have Zimmer, the co-founder of Juna, the award-winning supplement and products brand. They're plant-based. They're focused on strengthening women's mind, body, and sleep through their products. We're going to get into all of the things. Jewel, I'm so excited to have you. It's been a long time coming.
I know. Thanks so much.
I'm so excited. I'm just going to jump right in and have you just take us back. I know you were a pastry chef. We've talked about it before. I've stalked you online. I need for you to get into kind of like the trajectory. I'm assuming there's some type of like healing journey if you went from being a chef to like an advocate of wellness and now have your own brand.
Yeah, absolutely. So I always say I was a pastry chef in a past life.
I love that.
I worked in fine dining restaurants for a long time. And then after I had the birth of my oldest daughter, I started a chocolate company. And in fine dining, we're always thinking about how we can think absolutely different and in different directions and out of the box, and actually there is no box. I started looking at chocolate in a completely different way. It had all of these amazing polyphenols, antioxidants, and mood enhancers.
Wow.
So I started working with a chemist in France, and we started...
You're just like, I'm going to become a chocolate expert.
Well, I just became so enamored by the fact that food was medicine. I think I had been looking at food for so long as my work and a creation, as an experience, but I wasn't really fully understanding that it had these powerful actives that could activate inside the body and completely transform.
I think it takes a specific kind of person to even be invested in like wanting to know this stuff. Have you always been into like wellness and learning how to like optimize your health and body, or was it just something that you were really curious about when you found out?
I've always been really curious about wellness and how exercise affects my brain. I've been meditating daily since I was about 18 years old. I've done several 40-day chanting cleanses over the years. So it's something that's deep inside of me. And I didn't learn it from anywhere, honestly, because when I was 18, there wasn't any of this information available.
You were a trailblazer.
It was something that I did because it made me feel better.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay, so you start working with the chemist in France to create this chocolate.
Yeah. So we infuse this cacao extract, which has this anandamide in it, which is the bliss molecule. It's actually a naturally occurring cannabinoid in cacao, and theobromine, which is like probably the most amazing stimulant on the planet.
Wow.
We infuse it into this dark chocolate, single origin dark chocolate, and I start selling it at Barney's New York nationally.
Wow.
And from there, it was just like a huge success.
How old were you at this point?
I was 32.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you went from being a chef to just launching a chocolate company. You're in Barney's, which is iconic in the most...
Iconic.
Like Rachel Green, but chocolate.
And we played it like that. Every season we had a new collection so it was new packaging, it was new flavors. I casted these very bespoke tiles with this Art Deco pattern and was actually featured as a designer in Design with Reach magazine one year. Because
that's crazy.
Chocolates. We covered them in 24 karat gold. We kept getting more interesting and more experiential and more expensive. And of course, the chocolate had this effect inside the body, right? Where you were like feeling calm, but you were also feeling stimulated. And that was really like one of the big points along my path that led me to starting Juna, because it was at that moment when I started understanding plants and food can do a lot more than maybe even a pharmaceutical can.
It's crazy. So where was the shift? I'm assuming this chocolate company was successful. Like you didn't stop because it wasn't.
Yeah.
What was kind of the catalyst?
Really being a mom, having kids, and really struggling with my own health, and deciding that I could shift this into something less fun and experiential and more into serving people. After I had my oldest daughter, about 6-7 months after I had her, I had delayed postpartum anxiety, which is what I called it. Really what it was was I woke up what felt like one morning in a brain that had no light in it anymore and no positivity in it anymore.
Which is terrifying.
It was terrifying. And so I went to the doctors, and they were quick to prescribe and not ask any questions at all. And I felt unheard. I felt unseen. I felt isolated. And more than anything, I felt scared because I was now living in a brain that I didn't know. And I had a small baby to raise. And my husband is also a chef. So he was gone from 8 in the morning until midnight. And it was at this moment when I realized that I really had to listen to my intuition, and that was to take my health into my own hands.
That's so scary. Were you someone that even experienced mental health issues before ever, or was this the first time that you were experiencing, it sounds like, crippling depression?
I had never. I was literally terrified. It's hard to explain, but I just wasn't living in my own brain anymore.
Wow. So you get to the doctor. These people are supposed to help you.
Yeah.
They don't.
They
And that's like a
dismiss.
harsh reality. I feel like it's interesting because I feel like I've had multiple people here and even experiences with friends where like some type of health issue pops up and you have been taught your entire life that like the doctors help you. And so you go and get this harsh reality that like, oh, they're just humans too. And they like have research and they've done intense education, but they're not all knowing. So I feel like it was probably very disheartening at the time, and you probably felt very alone, especially considering you're having to raise a child.
Yeah, it really was. And so if you know me, you know that I always search for the best of the best. It was how I was raised in the kitchen and fine dining.
Yeah.
It was even how I was raised at home. My dad was a baker. My mom was a banker. We didn't grow up with a ton of money, but we had the best of everything. My parents had an eye for art and food and luxury, and they always surrounded us with the best of everything, to the best that they possibly could, right?
Well, they taught you to be curious.
They taught me to be curious, and they taught me to just find the best answers and get to the best outcomes. And so I was living in San Francisco at the time, and I found this acupuncturist who was, I don't even know if she was in her late 80s or early 90s. She died a few years after.
You're like, she was some type of
her.
shaman who like was like a Yoda of sorts.
She literally was. People came from globally, from all over the world for fertility treatment.
Wow.
And so that they could have a baby with her. And so I found her and I thought, she's going to be amazing because this is probably hormonal, right? I mean, I wasn't like this before I had a baby.
Yeah.
This is since the baby. So this is probably what it is. So I worked with her, and she really, really helped my nervous system a lot. And then I also worked with an orthomolecular psychiatrist, and it took me a really long time to get in to see him. I think 8 or 9 months.
Can you also break down what the hell you just said? What is an ortho? What did you just say?
An orthomolecular psychiatrist. I know at the time I didn't even really know. I just knew that it was a psychiatrist who was going to not just prescribe me a medication, because my OB had tried to do that already.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute, like we can't put a Band-Aid on this. Something is really wrong. And if we don't get to the root cause, this could be a struggle my entire life, right?
Yeah, well, especially since you've never struggled with this before and it changed after your pregnancy and like the birth. So you're like, there's something that everyone is missing here.
100%. 100%. So I knew that this guy, I thought these two people, Dr. Leong and Dr. Kunin, I thought that they were the best people that could help me get to the root cause and figure out what was going on. So yeah, essentially what an orthomolecular psychiatrist is, I guess in modern day terms, would be like a Dr. Amen.
Okay.
So somebody who really studies the brain and is compelled to find out exactly what's going on, where the brain's firing or where it's not, and then how to recalibrate it, right?
Yeah.
And
at this point, how many months have you been in this like darkness, I'll say?
I mean, it started around 6 or 7 months. I waited around 8 or 9 months to get in. So it was a long time, and it was sheer torture. I was every morning when I would wake up, I would just have dread. Also because I didn't want anyone to know. And by the way, I never really told anyone about my story years after, because I was so scared. If I had told people what was actually going on in my brain, like I probably would have been hospitalized, honestly.
People are going to think I'm insane.
No, literally. And I think back on it now, and I'm sure there was borderline psychosis. Like, you don't just have a brain that's completely dark and completely negative.
I don't know if I've ever shared this on the podcast before, but when I started going to therapy, thank God I saw someone who like wasn't a psychiatrist, who like actually, to your point, wanted to like get to the root cause and like really help me like rewire and like work through childhood trauma. Because in her notes, like when I quote unquote graduated from seeing her, because I think it was time to like move on after like 4 years to like something else, she shared with me like the first day notes that she had on me. And it said like depression, anxiety, borderline personality. And I don't claim those things at all anymore. I've never been on medication, but I think I was so unwell for different reasons, of course, than you, that I was showing signs and symptoms of borderline personality. So it's actually pretty insane, like what trauma, whether it's like physical wellness, whether it's like a hormone change, whether it's like a childhood incident, has on our brain, and how much power we have if we stay curious.
I think that that's kind of the beauty of where I am now in my life, is seeing and experiencing firsthand that your body and your mind have this ability to change. You're not stuck with the same brain forever. And honestly, you're not stuck with the same body forever. And I know that that's hard to wrap your head around when you're dealing with like a terminal illness or mental health, but it's possible.
Yeah, I always say too, like if someone would have looked at me in like the deepest of my depression and been like, you can do it, I would have been like, fuck you. Yeah. But it's true. I look back at myself and I'm like, no, I wish it clicked. And I think we all have to like click on our own. You can hear people talk about it over and over, but you have to be ready to do that. And it sounds like you were just desperate for an answer at that point and you wanted to get better. You had a daughter.
Yeah. I mean, there was no other choice but to figure it out. Right. And so he ran these tests. And what came back was that I was depleted in amino acids, which fast forward several years and me studying the microbiome at Stanford, come to find out amino acids start in your gut, not in your brain. And they're precursors to neurotransmitters, or they act as neurotransmitters. So he said, this is the only thing out of balance. We're going to put you on this mega dose of complex amino acids and you're going to get better. And that was kind of the end of the story.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I remember about 8 weeks later, and it's this moment that I'll never forget. I was standing in my kitchen, probably getting a snack ready, and I looked at my phone. It was 4:00, and I had this moment like, I have not had a negative thought today. Like, this could work. And that scared me to think that like this was happening, right? Yeah. And then, I would say about 9 months later, I was in full remission.
Wow.
Went off the amino acid complex, and the rest is history. I ended up having another baby, but 7 years later, and I'm going to be honest, it was because I was terrified.
I was going to say, my follow-up question was going to be, were you like so fucking scared that it was going to happen again?
Yeah, I was. I was so scared it was going to happen again, but I knew, and so I wasn't going to for the longest time. And finally I got to this place in my body where I was like, if I don't do this, it may be the biggest regret of my life.
Yeah.
So I just thought, okay, like, I'm going to do this. I'm not going to have a C-section this time. Footling breech, this baby's going to come out of the vagina.
You're like,
I'm going to eat my placenta. I'm going to eat it raw. I was like, anything I can do, I will do it. But it didn't happen again. And that's the beauty of the body being able to just like completely regenerate itself and heal.
Yeah, it's so funny because I do think like once you've tasted healing, you are desperate for it. Once people do get like a glimpse of something, whether it's like an answer or they finally made an uncomfortable choice and saw like a positive reaction, it's like, holy shit, this feels so good. I didn't even know I could feel this good. And I think in your case, you're like, I know what I have to do to stay healthy. I'm going to make sure I do every single thing possible.
It changed how I lived my life.
Wow. This is like over a year process. Like, how did you like hold on to hope? Because I think people struggle to like find hope in these situations. What would you say to someone who's maybe in a similar place with their health, who like is trying to find answers, is incredibly uncomfortable? What got you to keep going?
I feel very emotional all of a sudden. It was a lot of things. I think the main thing was my daughter. My daughter, right? Like, she was the main thing. Like, I had to do it for her.
Yeah, I feel like you have to find a why that's more than yourself in those moments. When you're in a low place, you don't really like love yourself or like have that like yearning to like live because of the darkness. So you have to find like a why, whether it's your future, whether it's your family, whether it's something to like motivate you forward.
It was around that time where I really started getting into chanting cleanses.
Yeah,
and
please tell us what that is.
Well, I started practicing yoga at a really young age. I grew up in British Columbia, actually, even though I've been in California most of my life. And there was an ashram really close by on a lake. And so I was exposed to...
Wait, what is it?
An ashram?
What is an ashram? Tell us.
That's a really good question. It's a spiritual place where you go and, surrender to this practice.
So it's like sort of a church for spiritual practice.
Yeah, like specifically revolved around yoga and Hinduism.
That's cool.
To some degree, yeah. And so I started practicing yoga at an early age and was introduced to these mantras. And the idea with a chanting cleanse is that you say a mantra 108 times. You have like beads that you count. And you do it for 40 days straight. And when you chant the same thing over and over, it takes you into theta brain state, which is basically where you are when you're in deep meditation. It's also where you are at certain times in your sleep. So it's in between the conscious and the subconscious. And that's really where you can start to reprogram the mind. And that time of the day, it took me about 22 minutes to do all of the 108 mantras. It put my brain in a place that felt safe. And I knew that in that place, there was hope of me also being able to reprogram it. And I literally lived for that time every single day.
So cool. So mantras as in like almost like affirmations.
Yeah, an affirmation. Yeah. Over and over and over.
It's so funny because people ask me all the time, like, how did you get out of like such a dark place? Like when you want to kill yourself, people want to know why like you don't feel that way anymore. And honestly, I think a huge part of therapy for me was like learning the power of affirmations. And people think they're so stupid, but they're not. They're life-changing and they help. They work. It's why I post them on the Instagram every Monday on the pod account. And it's because repeating the affirmation of the opposite of what was in my head every single time it came up. Not like in the morning when I wake up and I'm like, these are my affirmations. I'm talking like all day as like a negative thought popped up, I'd say the opposite.
Yeah.
I probably only after 6 months could see my happiness, positivity coming up. After a year or two, I wasn't even in that place anymore. It was exponential. People hear that and they're like, affirmations. I know. But I'm like, do you though? Are you actually doing them? Are you actually trying instead of just reading it on a screen and then like throwing your phone away?
They're so powerful. I studied to be a brain health coach through the Amen clinics a few years ago. And you hear this stuff all over social media, right? Meditate, ground in nature, put away your screen, affirmations, gratitude. And I think a lot of people dismiss them for... I don't even know.
Like bullshit.
Exactly. Thank you. Let's just say it.
Or they're just like, it's like cheesy.
Woo. Yeah, exactly. Like that's never going to work. I've literally seen brain scans. It works. And, when you're talking about your health and you're able to see like in a gut health scan or a brain scan after you practice gratitude or after you meditate for 20 minutes, the difference in your body, like there's no turning back. You're like, wait, maybe I don't need that pharmaceutical.
Yeah.
Totally.
So you keep mentioning that you actually started studying the brain and you worked with Dr. Amons. Can you please get into like where that started? Was it after you started Juna?
It was after Juna. It was after I launched Juna.
Okay, so take us into the Juna story. So you feel so much better. You're not in darkness anymore. How did you meet Taylor? How did you guys come up with this idea?
Yeah. What we realized was that collectively we're experiencing sensory and schedule overload, women especially, and the more women that I talk to, including Taylor, we're feeling the same things. And you go to the doctor and it's the same story over and over. Here's a sleeping pill that you can try. Here's an SSRI. This will take the edge off. And is that really the solution? The question kept popping up, is that really the solution to better health in our modern world? And for myself and having my own health journeys, I knew that there was a better way to do it.
Totally.
And so Juna was really born out of necessity. And Taylor, she had very similar but very different health experience. She had her own health journey, and it led her down the path to exactly the same place as me, which was, let's help other women, let's serve other women, and let's make products that are actually going to open receptors in the body and create transformational change versus put a Band-Aid on them and close them.
What was the first product that you guys decided to come up with? I'm assuming there was a significance in the first one.
Yeah, what we like to say our first product was, because it's our hero product, which is this one, which is our detox drops.
My fave.
Yes. And they were an instant success.
I feel like we need to put them in our water right now.
Let's do
it. I need it. Okay. I'm obsessed with these because I get bloated super easily.
Okay.
I have celiac. So after I eat, obviously I have to eat gluten-free, but like even after I eat, I'm always feeling bloated. So I put these in my water immediately after, and then I feel better. Like my stomach doesn't bother me. I feel like it's a stomach soother for me.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, there's the hero ingredient in there is chlorophyll, and then they're also boosted with lemon and mint. So the mint would definitely be a soother and a coater.
It's so good.
Yeah, they're amazing for detoxifying the liver, boosting oxygen to the blood, fortifying the blood, so strengthening the hemoglobin. Such amazing.
It's so, so, so good. And then at that point, you guys have this amazing product. You guys decide that you're going to learn and get more education.
Yeah. So every year, and I've done this my whole life, but I try to study something new so that I can become more evolved, I guess.
Yeah.
And for my kids, just curiosity, right? So a few years ago, I decided that I was going to study the brain. And Dr. Amen, he has clinics all over the country, but he's based in Orange County and Newport. He does do something really different. He looks at the brain, he scans it, he sees where it's firing and where it's not, and then he helps people, and he helps people through alternatives like adaptogenic plants and supplements, and like we were talking about, lifestyle, exercise, gratitude, and these things really can't be dismissed because they're so life-changing. And so I actually just did it to inform more products for Juna and to be able to understand more about the brain, but I actually felt super compelled to practice after I did it because I realized it's actually not that complicated, and everybody deserves an optimized brain.
Yeah, well, and I think we're very similar in the sense of like you have what seems like a life philosophy that like if you're going to preach something and practice it, you're also going to know as much as you can about it and make sure you're like walking the walk and talking the talk. And so I think like if you're teaching and trying to like push women to invest in products that are pushing them to be curious and pushing them to like find alternatives that aren't like the quote unquote easy solution or Band-Aid solution. Like you have to learn yourself what's going on too. The cool thing about Juna that I've noticed with talking with you guys is that you're very much about like everything getting better, like everything pushing forward, everything strengthening in women's lives.
Yeah.
And I know you have a philosophy, 1% better. I need you to explain it because I think that a lot of people listening could pull from that philosophy.
So have you ever heard of Atomic Habits by James Clear? Have you read it?
Yes. A long time ago, though.
Such an amazing book. So inspired by it. I share it with absolutely everyone. And so the 1% philosophy is really inspired by that book. And it's basically doing small things every day consistently. And those actions compound just like interest compounds in your bank account, right? And after a certain amount of time, there's a breakthrough transformation that happens. And I think the math is something like if you do small things every day consistently, you will be 37% evolved after 1 year.
Wow.
That's kind of profound.
Yeah.
Like just by doing a few extra things.
Well, and I think we're like kind of living proof of it as well. You guys are really involved in the practice of like these drops and nightcap and the digestive enzymes. Like it's not going to be like overnight, but if you stay committed, you stay curious, you continue to push for more for yourself, you're going to feel the results of these like products eventually on your body. For me, like even when I'm talking about like the rewiring of thoughts and like moving out of depression, moving out of anxiety, you're not going to like say an affirmation the next day or like catch yourself in a like thought process and be like, oh, I've caught it today. Like tomorrow I'm going to feel better about it. Or like I made an uncomfortable choice today, so that means tomorrow it's going to be easier. Like, no, it's probably going to be hell for like a year, year and a half, 2 years. But over time I can look back and be like, wow, I'm so proud of myself for putting in the extra effort, being curious, getting uncomfortable, because now I look back and I'm like, I'm a completely different person.
I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I think a lot of times people want that quick fix. They're busy. People are so busy with work and family. Maybe they have kids, passions, whatever it is, right? And they don't think that they have the time to put in the work. And if there's one thing that we have a deep reverence around at Juna, it's lifestyle. We make amazing supplements. Like I can go on and on and on about our formulations and how we dot all the I's and cross every T and go above and beyond. But at the end of the day, you have to do the work. You have to live a healthy, active lifestyle, because not one thing is going to fix everything. And at the end of the day, our bodies are an interconnected network of systems. So you can't expect just to fix one thing and have everything else.
Yeah. And quite frankly, honestly, the busy thing is such a cop-out. Like, I get it. We're all busy. Like, people who have kids are busy. People who are working multiple jobs are busy. Like, of course. But, like, our health, like, our utmost health takes very uncomfortable choices and very uncomfortable routines that like force you to go out of your way and like do something different. And people don't want to do that. They're lazy. And like I am too. I'm guilty of it. We're all guilty of it. But like I think that if you stop saying you don't have time and you actually cut out time, even 5 minutes to say an affirmation or like take something that's better for you and your body, like you will see the results in that 1% like you're talking about. We don't want to mentally be uncomfortable. Obviously, we don't want to be physically uncomfortable, but I don't think we want to be mentally uncomfortable. And so people are like, I'm just so busy. I can't think about it. But it's like, are you so busy to like watch your show and scroll on TikTok?
Yeah, there is time for all that other stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, there's that quote, you know, you have 99 problems until you get sick and then you have one. You know, health is the new wealth. Time is the new money. It's like, where are you going to put your attention, you know? And the quality of your life is only as great as the quality of your decisions.
That's good. Starting Juna, what came up for you in building Juna? Were there any like roadblocks, hardships that you kind of had to overcome personally?
Yeah, those are
like
every
so
day.
many.
Like there's challenges every day. I think just because of how I was raised, and especially the time I spent in the kitchen, like you just get through it. Like every single challenge is an opportunity to learn something else and grow from it. And we try to move through our days so that we're not faced with these challenges, but they definitely come up, and learn from them, grow from them. Lots of times there's a win out of them, honestly, and move on. As fast as possible.
I always say like entrepreneurship takes like a serious amount of mental resilience, but like everyone has access to like strengthening that tool. You obviously had like a health journey that I think really strengthened mental resilience. But what would you say to someone who's kind of in the midst of like wanting to start their own business, or they are an entrepreneur and they're like feeling really, honestly, for lack of a better word, shitty about like all the problems they're facing? They're stuck. They don't know how to keep moving forward. It feels like so incredibly hard.
They're in exactly the right place. Like, period. That's exactly where they need to be, because that's just part of the journey.
If it wasn't happening, like that would be weird. It shouldn't be easy to like create a company or do your own thing.
It takes a lot of perseverance, a lot of passion, a deep love and reverence for it, you know? And for me, I live off of stimulation. I really do, in the best way. And so anything that could come up, whether it's exciting or even a challenge, I thrive in those moments. So for me, maybe I'm just built to be an entrepreneur, and I always have been, you know. I actually had my first company when I was 18. It was a biscotti company.
I love that.
I sold biscotti. And then, then I was a pastry chef. Then I had the chocolate company, Cocoa Absolute. Then I had another company with a co-founder called Press 12, which was pop-up chocolates and pastries. And it was so much fun. The name was inspired. If you've ever been to the Condé Nast building, you know
Yes.
that Vogue is on the 12th floor.
So cool.
And everyone that gets in the elevator says, press 12.
Oh,
Press
that's so
12,
cool.
press 12. So the whole branding and the whole feel of the company was very playful, but also, again, like in that high fashion, branding has always been really important to me, which is one of the reasons why Taylor and I were so aligned and why I was so attracted to her, because she had a very similar eye and vision as I did.
Yeah.
And obviously mindset.
Yeah,
in
I think you're an
general.
entrepreneur for sure. But I do think that there is a level of like, at least for me, like when a problem comes up, I can't spend too long viewing it as like a problem before I go into problem solving, because like the more you stay in fear, the harder it becomes to like move through fear. So like even with this, like I'm trying to think of like an example, like this pod studio. Like I was just like, we have to create an in-person pod studio. The cameras came, I set everything up, and it wasn't working. I'm like, what the fuck? And like, I'm like, that's kind of scary. But then like the more you get intimidated by a problem, the longer you stay intimidated.
Yeah.
We have so much access to figuring out problems and moving through them now that I'm just like, okay, like I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to sit on my phone on ChatGPT for like 3 hours and have it teach me to be a sound engineer. Like, we have a lot of access to things, but I think the fear and intimidation piece keeps people from like overcoming challenges because they just get stuck and they freeze up. I think having a little bit of audacity to believe that you can probably overcome most things, or you know someone that can help you.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. I think also when a challenge arises, it can be inconvenient in your day. Like, well, that's not the checklist. That's not part of today's list, you know? And you have to be able to be like malleable and iterate and evolve in the moment really quickly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I need you to get into some of your like most outrageous non-negotiables, because you are the person that like is specific about water, but I love it though. I need to know everything. Like, what are your like non-negotiable morning and night things, products, routines that you would say are like very original to you?
I mean, everything's kind of a non-negotiable to me. I feel like I'm not super flexible on my rituals. Okay, so every morning when I wake up, I do have a gratitude practice. I do it in bed because I started learning about theta brain states very early on. We kind of talked about that. And when you're waking up in the morning, you are in that theta brain state. Naturally, you don't have to go there. And so I spend as long as I can in bed in that state, honestly, just like practicing gratitude in my mind. If I have time, which I don't always, I will also throw in like a 20-minute meditation on top of that. But usually when I meditate, it's when I get home from work, so that I can sort of bridge that moment between like work jewel and mom jewel.
Yeah.
And then I immediately go and get water and add detox drops to it. It's
break down the water. Break down the water choice.
So I'm obsessed with water. I'm also a level 1 sommelier.
So cool.
And because I was in the kitchen for so long, I'm not afraid to say that I definitely have a palate.
Yeah.
And I taste a lot of things that I think most people wouldn't. And so water is everything. In fact, my family and I moved to Orange County from San Francisco 4 years ago, and it was such a culture shock in so many ways. And one of the ways was water.
Yeah.
We had a filter in our kitchen, and the water should have been fine. We couldn't make coffee at home. All of our tea, we're huge tea drinkers. We're like, oh my gosh, this tastes so bad. Like, what is happening?
Oh my gosh, because Northern California has really good water, huh?
Really good water, yeah. And apparently Southern California, most of Southern California gets the runoff of our water. So they just like basically recycle it.
So like what water is in your fridge right now?
Well, right now I'm obsessed with this water called Ophora that our friend Danny Klass introduced us to. It comes from Santa Barbara. It goes through like 14 steps of nanofiltration.
I love it.
And then it's boosted with oxygen. And it's so amazing. It's so clean. And the detox drops taste so good in it. Also, the quality of your water is also dependent on like the quality of your hydration. So if you're drinking water that's got natural minerals in it, then it's hitting your tissues more. I'm also obsessed with structured water. which is harder to do, but you can buy like wands that will structure water. And basically, have you ever heard of the Japanese chemist who studied water?
No.
You can go on YouTube and you can see what happens to water how the vibration changes depending on literally who's in the room,
Wow.
how you talk to it, what's placed next to it.
Do you think it's because our bodies are mostly made of water?
Yeah, our bodies are, yeah.
Like, and that's why the energy changes? That's actually kind of insane.
I mean, Albert Einstein said that frequency is the future of medicine. And if you think about it, 98.999% of everything is energy and 1% matter, right? So yeah, it matters what you're putting in your body, and that vibration matters. And that's another reason why, Juna is powered by plants, because plants actually carry a vibration that is synthetic, pharmaceutical, or even supplement wouldn't be able to carry.
Wow.
So it's just going to work differently in your body.
So if you take anything from today's episode, buy good water and put Juna in it.
Exactly.
Okay, keep going. So you have your water. What are your night non-negotiables? I know you guys have a sleep product too, so I'm assuming that's a part of it.
Yes, for sure. I actually sleep pretty good, but in the last few years, I've learned so much about how the brain responds to sleep, and that the brain is actually the first interaction of sleep. Yes, the body's involved. It regenerates and repairs its cells and its tissues. And we even always say it, Juna, like sleep deep, wake up younger, because your body and your cells do regenerate and you will wake up looking refreshed. But in the brain itself, deep in the limbic brain is where your circadian rhythms live, and that's your sleep-wake cycle. And also deep in the limbic brain is where your brain secretes melatonin from the pineal gland. And melatonin is so important. There's a huge misconception around melatonin, and it's definitely not used properly. And
I was going to say, I hate melatonin, but I love your guys' products. I've been taking them and I don't have crazy dreams. Thank God.
Well, we use a melatonin that's derived from St. John's wort, and to our knowledge, we're one of 3 brands like in the country that use a plant-derived melatonin, and it's expensive. But the melatonin that we use from St. John's wort, we use it at a dose that MIT said is literally the exact amount that helps your body produce its own melatonin. So there's never getting too little. There's never getting too much. It's the Goldilocks fit. And it's so important because as we age and as we expose ourselves to blue light, which is so much all day long, right? Our bodies can't metabolize it, and it changes our circadian rhythms, which depletes our melatonin. And it's a master neurotransmitter. It's a master hormone. It's a master antioxidant. It is literally to some degree, our life force. It's our longevity. And so it's so important that our body is able to produce what it needs and utilize that. It's also melatonin secretion coming from the pineal gland. It's the gateway to manifestation, which is a whole other pod.
I know. We need to have it come back.
It's so fascinating. And then, our bodies, because, and I'm guilty of it too, I work all day on a screen and I am a scroller on social media as well. And as we start to deplete our circadian rhythms and our melatonin production, we're not getting into deep sleep. And that is the portion of sleep where our body where our brain actually regenerates itself. You've heard of the lymphatic system, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the brain has something very similar. It's called the lymphatic system. And when you're in this stage of sleep, your cerebral fluid turns on. It washes your brain completely clean. All the debris, everything. And that, when you've had 90 minutes of deep sleep, that's when you wake up and you're like, I'm a new person.
It's crazy you say that because I was wearing the Oura ring for a while, which I know you're wearing right now.
Yeah.
I stopped wearing it because once it ran out of battery, I never charged it again, which tells you a lot about my personality. But I never got a lot of deep sleep. Ever.
It's hard.
I have the worst sleep patterns. Honestly, just so bad. I stay up so late. I have to wake up early. It's not good. So this has helped a lot. I actually think it's forced me to okay, they take this when the alarm, I have an alarm that goes off at 11 p.m. That's okay,
that's good.
You need to go to bed now. Because I won't get naturally tired. I'll just keep going. I'm wired and will keep working and stuff. And so I have the alarm go off, and then I'm okay, I can take the nightcap and it will start edging me there, and then I can like fall asleep by like midnight-ish on a good night. But like it's a struggle, and then I have to my alarm goes off at 6:30.
So it sounds to me like you were just a night person.
I'm a night person.
Your circadian clock is just different, and you probably need to stay up later and not wake up as early.
I know. It's so bad though, because you get it, like just the chaos of work and stuff, you like can't just sleep in. I love the products. I'm so happy you got to like come here and share.
Thank you so much.
This is just
for having me.
It's so cool to like get to know like your background too, and like you're a perfect example of like how dynamic people are and like how you can live so many different lives. What would you say to someone listening who's like in their late 20s, early 30s, confused about what the fuck they want to do with their life? Because to me, like listening to someone like you share that like you now have this amazing successful company, but it's like your sixth one, it's a completely different fourth one. Sorry, such a difference. Like what would you say to them, and how would you encourage them?
I think intuition, I think a gut check is the new logic, really. And I think the more that you start to listen to what you really like, not what you think you like, or not liking something because your best friend likes it or your sister likes it, but once you really start to listen to what you're attracted to and what really like lights you up, that's really all you need. Like every single thing that you need is inside of you, as long as you take the time to listen.
I love that. I always say that like, you know, working hard and like long hours at what you're doing is fine if you love it. Mm-hmm. And like it sucks some days. Like work is always going to like suck sometimes. Mm-hmm. But I think that like I can like stay up late, hustle, run around knowing that I like love what I do. A lot of people think that they don't have access to that. And I think of course there's like privilege, and some people have to like work a hard, long job that they don't love to provide. But I do think there's actually a lot of people that could do more of what they love, and they just don't feel empowered enough to feel that they have the freedom to do that. And so I think listening to people's stories like you, it's like, wow, this girl was a chef, and then like she started a chocolate company, and then she like got certified in this like brain health stuff, and like now has like a company. Like it's so inspiring. I'm so happy you came to share your story.
Oh, thank you for having me. And you're equally, if not more, inspiring.
Oh, no, thank you. I appreciate that. Everyone that comes on, I have them answer the one question, looking back at your journey, everything you've been through, the ups and downs of your own health, mental health, company. How do you see it? How do you see it all?
Everything is about the pursuit. It's never about the destination. It never has been for me. And I think it's beautiful.
I love that pursuit. No one has ever answered in that way before, because I do think that a lot of people have a big expectation on.
Sorry, I didn't.
No, I love
really,
it.
Like, caught me off guard.
Unapologetic.
Unapologetic. Yeah.
No, but I think people have a lot of expectation on like what life is supposed to bring them and make them feel. I think a lot of people have a lot of expectation on what other people are supposed to make them feel. I think a lot of people have expectations on what their dreams are supposed to bring them. Yeah. And they're left very disappointed and in a really dark place when they do get there. And it's like sad. And I think if you can't live for the pursuit, then you're not living life to the fullest, actually.
The pursuit is, it's everything.
Oh, I love it.
It's what keeps me going. And then I get to, and it's faith too. It's believing in something that you can't see so much. And the reward of that is, of course, to see what you believe. And there's no greater success.
Yeah, yeah.
And no greater feeling than that.
Oh, thank you for coming here and getting vulnerable. I love it. Thank you. Please share where people can follow you and the brand and find these products. We're going to have Taylor on too after you, but and she'll share more about the brand as well. But where can people find it and shop? Okay, so Juna can be found at juna-world.com. Still wiping away my tears. I know, I'm like, turn on your marketing right now.
Instagram and TikTok at juna.world, and I am at Jewel_Zimmer on Instagram.
Yay.
And I don't do much brain health consulting, but I do take 3 clients a year.
Ooh.
So that information is also available.
I'll put it all in the show notes as well. Thank you so much, Jewel.
Thank you, Anne. Such a pleasure.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I hope you leave here feeling motivated and inspired. Do not forget to rate and review the pod on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And don't forget to follow How I See It Pod so you can keep up with podcast updates and see who's coming on next. And if you're not already, come join the fam and follow at How Han Sees It. Thank you guys.